guys, it's MJ. How are you? I there's like loads of like female empowerment stuff coming through these last couple of days. Part of it's been this massive shift that I've had, really continuous fucking life transformation, but the recent wave has just brought all this clarity and perspective around women's worth and around women's worth in the world, and how inherently we can keep denying the fact that, oh yeah, we're living in a balanced world and women can work and women can vote and whatnot. And yet for me, energetically, I'm feeling a real sense of like where those disparities are in our culture and how we unconsciously kind of disrespect or devalue women's roles and women's voices. Even the fact that we have these issues around women taking time out for work, for giving birth, and certain women's roles, jobs are not perceived as valuable on an economic level, right? And so to me, this whole thing of love's rising, and I'm still having to really own my worth and step into my worth, because as I continue to do this inner work, essentially the energy expansion, it sort of makes us more visible. It makes us more radiant. And so there's a paradox in all this. I have to own my worth and I have to own my integrity and be true to myself. At the same time, I'm really aware at how in the past I really have been trained to just say yes and do what I'm told and give people what they want and work hard for people and like yada 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 yada. And then I've, gone on this massive journey, started to see the value in myself and in my insight and in my worth. And it's amazing to me. And it's just how it is, because I am a woman, obviously. But how the men around me often reflect back, like, what they expect of me. And often don't even necessarily know me, but they expect me to want to do this or want to do that, or and then even little things like someone saying you should do this. That's how you should run your business. That's how da 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 da. And I'm always taken aback, and I always want to be allowing. So I'm somebody who, like, I'm not about boundaries and like I'm right, you're wrong. But when someone says something and it hits me, I sit with it for a bit. I'm not blaming the other person for making me feel, but there's an edge and there's something to explore when I get those energetic triggers. And so often it comes down to this again, the world and the stories that I've been telling, right, about female suppression, oppression, and male domination. I don't want to tell that story anymore. And I'm still working through my own disempowered state of always doing what I'm told and serving him, serving the man in my life, serving the men in my life, wanting to be validated by this world, by this systematic, corrupt world, right? So I shift the story and I focus on pioneering a new world, and I focus on myself and all humans being deserving and being valuable, right? And so as I transition and I feel that clarity within myself, I can look at my past, right? By the present, right? I can look at the physical manifestation of my past projection and see how people will find crafty little ways of making me think that they deserve my time. Them finding crafty little ways of making me think that I need to jump on a call with them, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. And I gotta say, you guys, it's really interesting from the perspective of this whole coaching industry or the healing industry or whatever. I'm somebody who likes to have breakthrough sessions with one person. I don't necessarily buy into like these long-winded big programs. At the same time, they're very useful for some of us. I personally like to work with people who are ready to break through, and so we can do it in a matter of sessions or a matter of hours, and they can leave and not have to keep that going. If they so desire to, fantastic. I love working with people. But on an economic level, I don't work with people for my own recognition or reward. It's all heart-based. It's all been heart-driven. And what I've noticed as I step into my power are people me seeing the ways that I devalued myself by thinking I'm supposed to be nice to everybody all the time, by thinking I'm meant to just be overly generous and it's all love, light, and let's all hold hands. What happens when you have that kind of energy is that you become like a target. There's like, you get all lots of energies coming at you. Some of them wanted, some of them not wanted. And again, I've had to own all that and be clear of basically just letting people take from me and owning that responsibility of what I carry, and basically not allowing the abuse anymore. you know, because I recognize that most of my past of suffering and victimhood and unworthiness was, and this sounds really harsh, but the more sensitive you become, you realize the very subtle ways that we abuse one another. And the subtle ways, essentially, we abuse ourselves through our own unworthiness. You know, like people judging me and attacking me and really not liking me, and me trying really hard to get these people's approval who didn't even want to invest, who didn't really even care that much, you know? And so now that I'm seeing all that and healing very deep wounds of unworthiness, like very deep wounds of, I don't deserve to be here, I'm a slave and I should just shut my mouth and work really hard. And I, in my life path, just couldn't abide. I couldn't tolerate that. And it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I'm courageous enough and I'm great. I'm good with who I am, you know? So more and more of these little subtle intricacies that are woven into our language, the subtle intricacies that are woven in our kind of exchanges. And for me, just being able to speak honestly as a woman, as a 35-year-old woman in the Western world, and what I still have to come up against. And you know, pioneering a business and a brand that totally aligns with my heart and my vision, and knowing it's come through me, knowing my journey and what I've been through and where I've come to. A lot of people like to tell you what to do. I'm just giving you guys clarity about the fact that, like, if you're on this journey and people are telling you what to do, be very, very mindful. Also, be very aware of, like, coaches and healers who tell you what's wrong with you. Just putting it out there from my experience. And my experience of a disempowered person who gave a lot of power to other people, who gave power to women because they were older than her, who gave power to men because they were men, who gave power to men because they had more money, or whatever. And then after giving the power, realizing that people didn't have my best interest at heart. People wanted to get from me. They wanted money, they wanted my body, they wanted something from me, right? And it's amazing to me the mental tactics people will use to try to get from you, especially when you're pretty pure and when you really just want the best for people and you just want people to be happy. Your natural set point is selfless service, right? So if you're not integrating and grounding and sort of protecting in a sense of, like, loving protection from yourself, we have deeper learning to do when it comes to interacting with people's energies and owning our worth. And so now it's like, I love working with the people that I work with, but it makes it a very clear distinguishing between the people who just, like, want to have a call or let's go for coffee, or, like, you know, you should want to do it. You should want to talk to me. And it's like, whoa, don't tell me who I am. And there again, I'm obviously looking at it from my perspective and having studied women's studies and da-da-da. For me, dominantly, it's either men or older women. And women, and it's about control. It's about seeing an energy or seeing something you want and in a manipulative way, kind of trying to control it. Because you want that. You want to contain it. But oftentimes, because of our resistances, we don't want to pay for it. We don't want to, you know, you're a woman. Why would I pay it, right? And so, this is very much personal to me. This is about my worthiness and situations that I've gotten myself into in my life that look all shiny and perhaps nice on the surface. And then as I go deeper and deeper, I realize there's a lot of disparity and there's a lot of game playing because people aren't clear. And the more clear I get emotionally, I can often feel where, like, people's judgments or people's projections or people's insecurities or people's, like, disparities. But the thing is that, like, this is about A Course in Miracles. As a teacher of God, you wait patiently without anxiety, and you also don't seek fixing because everyone essentially is totally perfect. What I'm learning as an empath, though, is that my self-care and self-love is and has to be my priority because I live in union with the divine. I live in union with my intuition. And so other people telling me how to be or how to show up in the world doesn't align with me. And more often than not, what I'm getting is that people saying that is just a reflection of their judgment and their insecurity. And what's important for me is to continue to trust myself and to continue to love and to continue to feel like I'm able to express myself. Because that's something for a lot of empaths that we learned along the way, like expressing our truth had us demonized and attacked and ridiculed often. So even in the same lifetime, I'm still having to work through blocks of, like, just sharing my truth. And it is pretty amazing, guys. Like, the reality for me, like, sharing this stuff, even with so-called like enlightened people or conscious people, they will still tell me, who the fuck do you think you are? You know, that's not true. How do you get that stat? And I'm like, oh, it's just my experience. Who do you think you are? That's not da-da. And it's amazing how, like, I'll be in this neutral energy, just sharing and expressing from my heart, and then almost like that, suddenly someone's like on the attack, and like working with those energies, right? And having just sometimes just having to distance myself and let people sit with where they are and trust and know people are totally connected to source. This is part of the big shift for me, was like, I'm on purpose, I'm in love with self, I'm in love with the totality, I recognize my divine spark, I recognize my connection, I know the difference. Like, I know the difference when I'm in love versus when I'm in doubt. You know, when I'm in compassion versus when I'm in judgment. I know the difference, I can feel it. So letting someone else dictate to me is no longer a possibility. It's no longer like a choice I have any desire to make, because I am one with it, right? And I get that sometimes people like, oh, let's talk, I want to talk about all this spiritual stuff, and I'm like, I don't, because I live there and I've lived there for most of my life. That's the difference, right? And that's why we pay mentors. That's why I pay for my healers. I pay for the mentors and the people in my life who assist me and who teach me. And as I grow in my worth, I can really see the disparity, and I can see the funny, even like the Love Light community, you know, shining light for me and telling me how I should be running my business. And I'm thinking, oh, like, I know what I'm doing. Just focus on yourself. And yeah. And I think that goes along. I did a bit of a feminist rant about like being a woman in the world, and again, it's all balanced, but yet still facing aspects of an imbalance, still facing aspects of how we can be belittled or how people can devalue our voices. And the beautiful thing about this timeline and like now coming out to express, it's that men and women alike are suffering with the same stuff. You know, that's what's amazing to me, is that what I'm talking about resonates with men and women, you know? And now, thank God, the men I'm attracting into my life can just reflect back a little bit more honesty and vulnerability rather than attacking me, right? And even that is just a breath of fresh air to be able to vocalize this stuff, and instead of being attacked for it or just simply blindly just told that I'm wrong, having people ask questions and engage in a conversation about, wow, okay, that's how it feels for you. Well, this is how it feels for me. And what's more apparent than ever is that my pain and hurt is also the same pain and hurt that a lot of men feel. It's just often reversed. So where I might project on like these guys around me just fucking patronizing me and showing me no respect, what I'm learning from my male counterparts is like, no, it's not because they don't respect you around gender and what is true. I know. It's just, and this is me having a conversation. It's just grokking with it, just being like, where are we? What really, like, what's going on? But there again, it's like having men reflect back to me, like, it happens in the same way. And how men are having to unravel all this is very, very similar. And that's what I mean. The reflection is that my perception, my projection of men disrespecting, not loving me, or putting me down, or the flip of that is that actually that behavior, and I should word this out, is coming from their deep unworthiness. Them patronizing us comes from I'm a strong man, I'm meant to be the provider and stuff. And actually, it's just a friend and tribe member who reflected back, well, you know, that behavior from men often comes from their own feelings of inadequacy. And again, they have the deep wounds too, you know? And I guess the point is that I think in our awakening age and the age of transformation, all we're getting better at doing is holding space for one another to process the emotional backlog and the emotional density that we've been carrying for ages, and to start opening up to a new conversation about healing and about love and about honesty. And straight up, like, I just have to put it out there in A Course in Miracles, and this stuck with me because I used to have major control and anger issues in like every area, and In A Course in Miracles, it says that anger is never justified. And when I started practicing that for real, it's true. All of my anger was a projection that was covering up deep wounding judgment against myself, deep self-loathing, deep unworthiness, like just a fucking infinite void of unworthiness, which I'm still seeing threads of it come out of me. But I could see every fucking time I'd have an emotional storm where the anger would just be like, "Argh!" And then I'd just be like, wait, anger's not justified. And then I'd just like I'd sit with that burning rage feeling, just sit with it. Detach from the thought projection that it's somebody's fault that I'm feeling this. Let the anger motion move up. Guaranteed, as soon as the anger starts to shift, there's like this sadness. And then eventually there's like a pain, and then more sadness, and then compassion. Suddenly you break through these different veils of emotional densities, and you're like, oh my God, I've been judging people, and I've been hating on people and hating on myself, and da-da-da-da. And I'm okay. It's okay to love. It's okay to drop the walls. That's like, anger is like a wall. Anger is like a fucking hardcore illusion, right? So we need to be able to sit with our anger and penetrate the veil of anger to get to access more of our truth. But there again, I've noticed that for the men is more challenging. Anger is kind of an acceptable emotion for men. It's less acceptable for women. But because anger is more acceptable, and then we're having these, like, women are able to more break down and be vulnerable, we potentially get caught in a same loop. And then the anger, if we don't penetrate the anger, we just end up like, I'm right, she's wrong. Usually, so notice your interactions. If you're defending and attacking yourself, if you're, or you know what I mean, like in conversation, having those kind of debates where it's not a two-way, someone just attacks and attacks and attacks and attacks until that one breaks. If the attacker will have layers, things underneath, right? And if, depending on that person's awareness, you can either open up again and see what happens, or let go of the energy disparity, because that person is still very much in the attack and defense mode and not looking at what's underneath their emotional body. And this is, I need to keep talking about this, because I'm always surprised at how, like, even really conscious people, even people who are really aware of their emotions, they're still staying stuck in a pattern in their emotional body, i.e. they're still just mentally projecting something against an emotion they don't want to penetrate. So really, 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 our ability to, like, notice the anger and then be like, oh my God, look, my thoughts are making me tell this woman she's a horrible person. Wait, is that true? No. So where's the anger? What's that coming from? And then sit with the anger. What happens underneath the anger? And then we break it down. And that's something, again, in our culture where boys don't fucking cry, that's really challenging often, because a lot of my transformational process has been me crying in bed for days. Has been me literally feeling like my heart and my whole fucking core is being ripped apart. Now, what I recognize is that because I've had the awareness, I can see what's happening. It's an alchemical transformational process. Like, literally the cells of my body and my DNA are transforming by sitting there in the depth of my emotional body while listening to divine guidance. So, and that ability to penetrate is what a large part of the collective are still afraid of. There's various reasons why there's fear imprint around accessing the emotional body, because that really is our true power. It's the one aspect that has really been denied. And if we don't access our emotional depth, the mental stays looped in a pattern on a certain frequency. It's only by diving deep into the emotional field that we can uproot density keeping us down, uproot the density and start to rise. Energetically speaking, as you start to rise, the mind opens up to become a clear reflector, and we have access, the transmitter, the brain has access to higher vibrational thinking, more advanced technology, more advanced innovation. So clearing that emotional body is really the work. The depth of this stuff, and on the flip side, the paradox of the simplicity of it, is where I see disparity. It's that people are like, yeah, emotions, but then they're still attacking people, or they're still projecting their shit onto people, right? And I'm still coming into my own, right, as a guide or spiritual teacher, and a coach. If you guys can tell by this share, right? Because, like, I'm building up my client base and I'm still seeing parts of my old self, like, oh, I should go for, oh no, I'm like, wait a minute, no, this is my profession. If you want to hang out with me, you have to pay me some money, you know? And then being clear about that, because of how I make people feel, and the clarity that I bring into people's lives, and the fucking genuine burning desire for people to live their fucking purpose. And like, I swear to God, guys, this is the legit truth. People in my life that I've known who, like, I know they have like a very unique and divine purpose, when it's too much or they don't want to go after it, they'll just like fall away. And oh, I gotta say, like, it just fucking hurts my heart. Usually because there's there's various fails of fear, and again, you can't force people to look at it. You can't force people to sit with it. You can't force people to even want to transform their fears for them. Or you don't do it for them, but you can't make them want to do it. If their beingness isn't ready to penetrate those veils, you just have to let it go. But from an empath, and from somebody who really, really, really just fucking wants humanity to be joyous and free and happy, like, when we're not living our purpose and truth, it's denying the divine. It hurts her, it hurts the planet, you know, it hurts the vision of where we're headed. So, you know, I'm really stepping into my power and pioneering this new paradigm business, which is very kind of radically different from how a lot of other people do it. And I'm doing it in as transparent a way as possible. But also just sharing with you guys, if you end up pioneering your own business and your own path where it's new paradigm, and a lot of people transitioning don't necessarily get it, just stay true to yourself. You know, all I do now is just, if people want to hang out or want to go for a coffee or want to have a call, it's like, here's the session rates, get in touch, email me if you want to book a session, and just putting it out there and just making it very, very clear. Because personally, where I am energetically is that a large portion of my human encounters, they're work for me. It's work. I have to hold space. I have to let people flush things out. I have to offer clarity, you know? And so for someone to think, oh, let's just go hang out and have a chit chat, I'm like, I don't really do that. That's part of the beingness and the person that I am with the insights. I'm pretty hardcore introvert. I hang out a lot by myself. And that's where the social media and the marketing side of all this stuff is completely delusional, because we might look and, oh, all to love, lovely, rainbows, and da-da-da-da. You know, my life is quiet. My life is solitary. I have a handful, if that, of like really intimate, close friends, my mother included, but not more, you know. And the few times I've kind of, for my own lessons, let people in, I realized, like, I can't. It energetically, that's just where my guidance is. I hang out in nature, you know, I travel a lot, but a lot of it's done in solitude. And people don't necessarily expect that, because I'm quite lively and I'm naturally very expressive. And on this platform, it might seem, oh, you're super confident and da-da-da. But if I'm plonked in a group setting or a mass, like where there's a human collective, for an empath, it's often just too intense to be around all the different energies and to be impacted in that way. It gets easier and easier the better you are with your energy, but that's just, you know, that's just being really honest with you guys. Behind the like fun vlogs and like showing you guys where I've been guided to live at present, I still daily have my challenges and have my you know, desires, and I feel my emotions a lot, and I feel into the collective energy stream. And my only purpose is to be as awakened and light-filled and love-filled as possible, and to be the example that I wish to see in the world. That's it, you know. And how the resources that show up for me are what meant for me, and I have to allow them in. I have to be grateful for the being that I've become, because that's part of shining the light, you know. Because if we don't let ourselves shine, we're not doing any service to anyone. It doesn't matter how much money you make anymore. It doesn't matter, you know, how important you are. It matters the service. It matters the energy that you're radiating. It matters the thoughts that you're thinking. You know, you might have all the money in the world and be talking about self-love, but if you're still thinking judgy thoughts toward other people, you're still a dickheading. I I do it too. I catch myself in a rage sometimes, just be like, and then I'm like, oh no, that person is divine, but their behavior on certain levels I'm not going to tolerate. That's the juice of that's what this whole share is about, you guys. Love's Rising is calling out the corruption. Because what I'm noticing in my own life, which of course we can always, quantify and look at a bigger collective story here, love's rising within humanity is like shining light in the corruption and not tolerating it. There's this very dynamic shift, i.e. what this whole share has been about, with me suddenly being like, why have I been tolerating that? Why have I been giving so much for people who give nothing back? What the actual fuck? Like, what is that? So for me, as I shine my light, which means that I no longer tolerate the shadiness, my light exposes the shadiness so that it won't fucking latch on unconsciously. Like, stop being shady, stop being sneaky, stop talking behind my back. Ooh, gross, I don't want to deal with that. Ooh, gross, you never supported me. Oh, like, literally, like, you've been lying to me. I'm never gonna fucking, I don't need that. So it's just this sudden awakening shift of being like, now hold the fuck up. So if I look at that at the global quantum level, it's like earth love energy is like, oh, you think you're gonna keep fracking me? You think you're gonna keep polluting my oceans with fucking plastic? So now us as humans are waking up to this greater love and being like, oh my God, what the fuck are we doing? We need to stop. And we need to regroup. And we need to rethink this whole plastic industry and this whole bottom line, money makes the world go round, capitalist fucking consumerist bullshit. And we need to start talking about how to heal. By healing ourselves, we heal Mother Earth. So I think we should focus on healing rather than telling other people how to live their lives, and rather than focusing on what other people and how other people can serve you. That's like one of the biggest things I've really noticed. Like, people, oh no, I did this, I did that. Yeah, and then behind my back, you're doubting me. That is not an investment. That is fucking lying, shady shit based on your own fucking fear, right? So for me, it's like, get over myself, get over my fear, and communicate and take action in a way that feels harmonious with my heart. And I kind of feel intuitively that if we all did our best at that, we could start getting organized and we could start pioneering new communities, i.e. a new earth, y'all. New earth is better for more people, That's all. But this is a wild world, you guys. It's crazy the amount of fucking doubters and haters that kind of mill around when you start really expressing your truth and shining your light. Even, like, again, conscious community. Like, I've randomly had, like, messages from healers being like, oh, this is what's going on with you. This is what's wrong with you. And I'm like, oh, do you want me to book a session with you? Is that why you told me there's something wrong with me? You guys, don't ever let me tell you there's something wrong with you. I want you to know that you're a fucking perfect expression of divine love. Even your darkness, even your shadiness, even, like, the worst bits of you, even that. You're allowed to love that too. And we all have stuff to work through. So don't let anybody tell you who you are or what you need to do. But if you res with people, be willing to open up to them. That's what I'm doing too. People are showing up. People now want to work with me. The people who just want to use me, they're dropping away. The people who want to fucking reflect back to me my worth, they're showing up. And it's effing exciting. So thank you guys for listening today. This was a really long share, but there's 2 of you watching, so I felt like I could just kind of keep chit-chatting. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate the subscribing and the liking. That's just, again, total transparency. I'm endeavoring this online entrepreneurship world. Oh, it's scary. Online. Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you, Jaihoon. I just, like, appreciate all that support, and I'm navigating. I'm just learning as I go. So I haven't got it all figured out. I sell a book. I sell a tribe, which is online coaching platform, and clothes. I'm not wearing any now, but I have, like, all to love, some t-shirts, some tank tops, some hoodies. So the way that you guys can support is either like donating to me and the company for all this like free content that I create, but also buying our products. So help support us by buying some of our stuff and like getting it out into the world. It's just, the logo is just like a pretty heart with an Alta Love at the bottom, and you know, I would just love to see lots of people. It's sustainable fashion, it's collaboration. So two small independent companies are getting a benefit from you guys buying Alta Love products. And yeah, I just appreciate the support because I need it. I need help. Like, I need support just like all of us, you know? And I don't need to fucking lie and pretend like life is juicy, fresh, and perfect all the time. This is just how it is, and learning and navigating and kind of being a bit stubborn and wanting to authentically navigate this without doing what everybody else is doing and doing what everyone tells me I should do. I'm kind of intrigued by just completely letting go and seeing how spirit continues to guide me, or how my intuition continues to guide me, because the more I let it guide me, the more amazing life gets. But it's super duper miraculous because my conscious logical mind could never have figured all this stuff out. But I'm excited about the year ahead. I'm really excited for Alta Love. I can feel this real loving energy starting to support us on the new path. And just transformed, really. Just, I'm kind of like, oh, weird. Even 2 years ago, like, completely different person. Completely different person than I am today. But hey ho, here you go. Life keeps changing. Thanks, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. Have an awesome, awesome day, and I'll speak to you real soon. Peace.